Just a little bit
All right.
trying to grab the clothes that we needed.
We're live.
Okay. All right. Tonight, we're continuing on chapter 34 of Isaiah, right? And we had gotten to finish verse 6, and we're going to be starting verse 7. You guys need.
Do I have?
You had
Been
it.
here in a while.
I thought I gave it. No, you probably don't.
Was it a new one?
Yep.
I'm just by
Okay.
the phone.
And if you guys need, there you are. We're on page 4.
Yep, page 4,
All right.
verse 7.
Anyway, Isaiah's prophesizing what's going to go happen to this, the land of Edom, or Idiom, or Edom, right? And about the devastation of the city and the people and what's going to happen to them. Anyway, he continues in verse 7 here. And we'll start with that, I guess. Are you ready there?
You don't have to wait for me.
Okay. Right. So, verse 7 starts out, it says, "And the unicorns shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness."
I think it's cool we're talking about unicorns.
Get the guard about unicorns. That's right. It's actually written in the Bible.
Is there glitter in the Bible?
Yeah, I don't know. There's stars that looks like glitter to me, anyway. Right? So, let's start out with the unicorns shall come down. The word in Hebrew is Remum. Anyway, here rendered unicorns is the same that was used in Numbers 23:22. Right? It depends on which translation you read, if it says unicorns or not.
Right.
Did you want
So they were the really
it red?
unicorns?
Go ahead, yes, if you want.
Well,
Numbers?
23:22. You want to do Deuteronomy?
Well, I was going to,
Oh, go ahead.
but the unicorns, they may have been interpreting
Right,
an animal with a horn in its head.
right.
God brought them out of Egypt. He hath, as it were, the strength of a unicorn.
Okay,
Let me see what mine says.
All right.
Deuteronomy 33:17. Because
Yeah.
mine says wild oxen in Isaac and Isaiah.
Right.
33:17.
Definitely different, isn't it? Depends on
Mine says wild ox,
wild ox, right? A lot
and
of
the
them
verse
do.
1 does.
Mhm.
That's where I was at.
33:17. Yep, wild ox. In majesty, he's like a firstborn bull. His horns are the horns of a wild ox. With them he will gore the nations, even those at the ends of the earth. Such are the 10,000s of Ephraim, such are the thousands of Manasseh.
Okay.
But it does talk about horns, right? The horns are the horns of a wild ox.
Right.
Let's see.
Well, the horns of a wild ox. You got to remember that the ox in that time period, they actually killed them out. Actually, the last one from that era, the time of the gladiators in Rome, they used wild ox and wild bulls. They were of a different breed and different stature than what we call a wild ox today. All right, they would weigh in at 3,000 or 4,000 pounds.
Right.
Huge animals, much like our Brahmas that we see today, but these were definitely a lot bigger animal, and their horns came forward like the bulls for the bullfights.
Yeah.
And it talks about some of the sons of Jacob wrestling one of them to the ground. That's how strong he was.
Wow.
Right? Anyway, so, but it says he brought him up out of Egypt, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Egypt does have, and is known to have, coming out of Africa, rhinoceroses.
Right,
Now, that is a powerful animal.
right.
Mm-hmm.
It will cause devastation, yes.
It's got one.
Except, well, there's
Well, one is
the
good.
northern,
Yeah.
the northern rhinoceros has one.
Yeah.
The southern has two.
Two.
Right.
And they
So-
killed millions of animals
Oh yeah.
in the Colosseum.
Yeah. The Colosseum. Yes, they did. Anyway, they killed off all but one the last of the wild bulls, or the wild, what do you call it, what the name you call them? The
Ox,
wild oxen, died in 1890 in England.
Wow,
They never could get it to breed.
wow.
But there was one of that line that finally went extinct. But they kept it in a pen that was huge. It looked like you'd keep elephants in it, and it was just for that bull. He was very aggressive.
Babe, the big blue ox.
Yeah, kind of. I think that story
Right.
might have come from there, right? Right. So,
Sounds like it.
and I think the unicorns, that's an influence from the Greeks, because they're drinking ouzo or something. I don't
No,
know.
it's I'm not surprised to see unicorn in the Bible.
Hmm.
They talk about dinosaurs,
Right.
Right,
you know.
And unicorns and all kinds of animals.
Mhm.
Yeah. We don't know what was on the ark, do we?
right.
We
No,
don't.
but we learned that there were only 2 dogs.
Yep, only 2 dogs. It was on a quiz thing she was doing.
I didn't even know there was a dog on
Yeah.
it.
And there'd have to be some kind of canine.
Yeah, because of the wild dogs in Australia.
Wolf. I mean,
No, totally different breed. Not a
huh,
dog.
Just a
Like a
dog.
jackal, right?
Yeah, like a jackal, right?
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense?
yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's go on.
Sorry.
Anyway, if you read Psalms, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. I win. It's
Okay,
awesome.
yeah. Bishop Loth renders it here wild goats.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the wild goats had, do you remember the antelope that has the one horn that twists and spirals?
It only has one?
One.
No, I just
Looks-
know the antelope that's got 2.
Yeah, there's one that only has one,
That's a,
and not a gazelle.
remember what
That's a
it's called.
unicorn.
Ja-
Nope.
No, it's,
Jackalope's not that's a fictitious one.
That's
That's
a
a unicorn.
That's a jackrabbit.
unicorn.
An antelope with only one
One
horn.
horn, yeah.
That's a unicorn.
No.
no, it's.
I can't- I know what you're talking about, I
with
can't remember
antelope
the name
Yes.
of it.
family.
Yes. But that could have been what they were talking about.
A one
But
horned
those aren't
antelope.
real big.
No, they're real small.
They're small.
They're small.
could they
right.
have been bigger?
In that
then?
time period, it could have been,
Yeah.
right? So, anyway, there's other references, so.
Why is
people-
this intriguing us?
Because we've never seen a unicorn.
Gemsbok
Right.
antelope.
What is it? A Januspa?
One horned Arabian onyx
Yeah.
antelope.
Antelope, yeah, see?
Yeah,
As
Oh,
one,
well, it's
Looks
not
like
in
a
the
goat.
center. That's why they don't know it's a unicorn.
Right.
has
One
one.
Well,
horned
It's kinda-
But it's got
Arabian.
2 humps, though.
off to the
Yeah.
side.
One horned Arabian
Onyx antelope.
onyx.
Yeah.
That
So
may
that may be
come where
where
oxen came
that-
from then.
That may be where he came up with the wild goats.
Did
Okay.
you know that the name for the rhino is Rhinoceros unicornus?
Oh.
No,
Now we have information.
Rhinoceros
Unicorns.
unicorns.
no wonder it was so big.
Unicorn, one horn, right?
Okay, so I'm gonna go with rhinoceros.
We're
then.
going with rhinoceros, all right.
Sounds good.
Anyway,
And they said it was large, so
Uh-huh.
a rhinoceros is large.
it's a large animal, yeah. But it's impossible to determine exactly from the writings, because we don't know about that time period, right? And they're still doing studies on it. But it is allowed that it was a beast of great strength and fierceness, and it is here used metaphorically, okay? So it says with them, right? If you go back to the phrase, it says shall come down with them. It means with the lambs and the goats mentioned in Isaiah 34:6, which is the paragraph above. All classes of the people shall be subdued and subject to the slaughter. These are all metaphorically used because the unicorn would be the king, the strongest, most fierce of the warriors, all the way down to the common people. They're all going to be affected by this judgment of God, okay? And it says, in the bullocks with the bulls, it means the young bulls with the old bulls, is what that means, right? All shall come down together, the fierce and strong animals representing the fierce and strong people, right? You always have your warrior group, you have your passive group, you have your leadership group, and then you have the working class, right? Everybody's going to be affected by this one. That's right. And their land shall be soaked with blood. We find that in Hebrew. It means watered as with rain coming upon it and in abundance. There'll be so much blood it'll
It'll
look like
run
it's
in the streets.
it will run in the streets. I know that there's a reference in Revelation 20 about the fact that at the end times, the Battle of Armageddon, that the blood runs bridle deep on a horse. That's how
Wow,
much slaughter
that's
there is.
deep.
Yeah, bridle deep.
You'd be swimming in it.
Yep.
Right.
That's in Revelations 20. Amazing, isn't it? It's a great massacre occurs, or a great battle is what it's considered. Okay, anyway. And the dust made fat with fatness. It means they're dry and barren land, but the fat of the sacrifices, namely of the slain men, mingled in with it. It's just going to be, it's just devastating. He's trying to describe something that he's got a vision from God from, and how do you describe it? You know, it's just, it's horrible. And he's trying to get it across to these people so they begin to wake up. You know, yeah. You can say it even in Isaiah's time. We had woke people, right? That didn't see the truth, and he was trying to wake them up, actually open their eyes and their ears to hear.
See
Right?
the light.
All right. Okay, I'm going to go to verse 8 now. So it says, "For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance, and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion." Now, before you even go any further, right? So we have Lord's vengeance, year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. Zion is what? We all know, right? Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
Mount Zion, right? Jerusalem, right? So, okay, let's go with the Lord's vengeance here. This is the time that God hath long since appointed and fixed to vindicate the cause of his oppressed and persecuted people against all of their enemies. Wow. It was already appointed, and it's going to happen that way. Okay? The year of recompense for the controversy of Zion. The long-delayed day of retribution should come at last. This would be the outcome from the hand of Jehovah for their persistent hostility of the Edomites to the city he had chosen. They kept attacking it, stealing from it, trying to knock it down, burn it, harass the people. They would steal their crops. Right? The Edomites were a tribal people, and it was just a battle constantly. All right? Oh, not a good day. Anyway, so let's go to verse 9. "And the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch."
Mm-hmm.
Burning trees.
Yeah,
Burning sulfur.
burning sulfur on the ground, right? So if you can kind of imagine this, right? The streams thereof, it would be the streams of the land of Edom is what he's talking about here.
Sounds like hell.
Kind of hell on earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Though Edom has no perennial rivers, it has numerous torrent courses to carry off the winter rains. And you can find that in 2 Kings 3:20 and 22. Anyway.
Do you want me to do it? Or no?
Okay, yeah, sure, if you want. If you got it right there.
2 Kings.
3:20 and 22 through 22.
Make sure I'm not getting myself into the tongue twisters again. 20, 21, and 22?
Yes.
And it came to pass in the morning, when the meat offering was offered, that, behold, there came water by the way of Edom, and the country was filled with water. 21. And when all the Moabites heard that the kings were come up to fight against them, they gathered all that were able to put on armor, and upward, and stood in the border. 22. And they rose up early in the morning, and the sun shone upon the water, and the Moabites saw the water on the other side as red as blood.
As red as blood.
In the morning, the sun reflecting off of it would be red, wouldn't it? And it just before it gets to that full peak, when it's kind of orange in the morning and red. Yeah. So it was a very visual to them, right? All right. It said, shall be turned into pitch. This country shall be dealt with as Sodom and Gomorrah was, right? Utterly destroys, as it were, by fire or burning pitch and brimstone thrown down upon it from heaven. And we know that's in Genesis 1924. And it was actually earlier than that, but it was the verses, the chapter 19.
You're funny. See, that was that
Oh, man. Yeah.
old man accent he does. 1924.
I was there.
I
Grandpa,
don't
my
believe
grandpa
that,
was.
you know.
What?
What?
Huh?
Look pretty good being 200 years old.
Aged well.
Oh, goodness. Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens.
Okay. Yeah. So that's and Isaiah is referencing that because as the people of Israel would have been taught that as kids in their studies, up to the age of 8, they would all have these, been taught the book of Moses, the 5 books, right? So now, and then it says, and the dust thereof into brimstone. The ruin shall be as entire as if the soil were turned into brimstone, which should be ignited and left burning.
I've seen pictures of that when volcanoes erupt.
Right. You've seen the soil just burst into flame.
People
right?
laying in the streets with nothing but ash all over them.
Right. Yeah. They doing the excavations in Pompeii.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking
Yes.
about.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's sulfur and ash.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be very careful. They have to use plastic coated tools
Right.
because it will spark a fire. Like, okay. All right, so we go to verse 10. And it says there, it shall not be quenched night nor day, and the smoke thereof shall go up forever, from generation to generation, and entire desolation shall not be extinguished. This one kind of throws you around. Anyway, we'll start out with it. So it will not be quenched night or day. This is the burning brimstone and pitch, or the emblem of perpetual and entire desolation, shall not be extinguished. It's going to be a visual forever.
Like burning tires.
Yeah, like they can't put them out, right? Or maybe the pit outside the city of Jerusalem that burns night and days to this day. And it was started in Christ's time.
Wow.
Yeah, and it hasn't gone away. So, okay, we can see it maybe happening, right?
Where's that town that no one can live in because the coal mine
It's still burning
is
underneath
still burning? Yeah.
Yeah, underneath it, yeah.
Yeah.
Until it burns all that coal out, yeah. There's a place they call Hell's Gate in Edom, by the way, it's Russia. That's still open and still burning. And it's just a big, huge hole and nothing but fire.
Wow.
And they don't know what started it. It just opened up.
Hmm.
But it's not a volcano. It's not coming up.
The blood in the streets was Revelation 14.
Oh, 14, I'm sorry.
It's
14:20.
14:20.
All right. I'm dyslexic. Thank you for looking that up. I reversed it in my head. Anyway, I'm close. It's in Revelation.
It was
We're
20.
good.
Right.
It was 20.
Yeah, but it was just verse 20 and 14. Okay. Anyway, the smoke there shall go up forever, right? So every river and rivulet is heated pitch, that every particle of dust, sulfur, like you said, right? And all on fire, sending up from an extended region dense columns of smoke. No idea of ruin could be more imagined, right? No idea of the vengeance of God more terrible. He's trying to put fear of God into them, right? Not reverence, but true fear. If you don't correct your ways, this is what you got to look forward to, right? And he doesn't want this to happen.
You know, I don't know that you can strike fear into somebody who's never seen it happen before.
No, but this is another parable, right?
Because even their imagination wouldn't make it horrible to them, right?
Unless you've seen something similar, probably not, right?
Right. But once you've seen it once,
Or seen
it
something
should
similar.
it strikes fear in your heart if you have the impression that it might happen to you.
Mm-hmm. I look at it this way. It's the same people that go to Yellowstone and think you can pet the bison.
Right. So I say it's the same today's.
It hasn't changed much, right? Think about it. Yeah.
Or chase the javelina.
Or chase it. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, go ahead and catch one of
Go
those
catch one of those.
and see what happens to you.
Or they go through Prump and let their kids pet the wild horses.
Right. Or
Yeah, people just
licking
don't
frogs.
Yeah,
Sorry.
there was just a conversation about that on Facebook.
We're
out
just
here.
not very smart, are we?
Where did common sense not come into that play, right? Oh, that's
Well,
what
it was lacking common sense way back when. We already
Yeah.
figured that out.
It was,
We talked
right?
about that last time.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's new under the sun.
Right.
Unfortunately, that breed has still continued.
Yeah, right.
Just saying.
Well, and from what I'm getting from Isaiah, he's going to eliminate that breed.
Well, he didn't do it.
He didn't, right?
Something happened, someone got out.
Somebody escaped.
Something got in the way.
Right, someone got out.
A distant cousin in a distant land.
Diane. I'm one of the good guys.
Shame on
Anyway,
us for,
so,
it's lightning out
so
there.
I know the image has been copied by John to describe the future woes of the wicked in Revelation 14:11.
I got
See?
that one.
Okay.
And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name.
Mm-hmm.
Mark of the beast.
Mark of the beast, right? Okay. And anyway, you want to? Okay.
You have more of Revelation?
Yeah, I want to go kind of through some
It's
of
the
those.
last one of the book, of
I-
the Bible,
yep.
so it's easy to find.
It makes it easy. Which one are you picking up?
18.
All right, I'll do 18:9. I'll do 18:18.
Mhm.
Oh, they go to here too. Yeah. I was
Oh
sailing
my
on a
gosh.
ship.
When the kings of the earth who committed adultery with her and shared her luxury see the smoke of her burning, they will weep and mourn over her.
They're not getting kickbacks. They're losing money. All right, 18:18 says, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, "What city is like this unto this great city?" And they cast dust on their heads. That's the next paragraph. Right?
And I have 19, 2
and
through 3,
Mhm.
which we've already read in something else, but my
Mhm.
notes aren't showing. For true and righteous are his judgments, for he hath judged the great whore, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication, and hath avenged the blood of his servants at her hand. 3. And again they said, Alula. And her smoke rose up forever and ever.
Right. It's a great battle. The end battle, the end times judgment, right? All right, so from generation to generation it shall lie waste. That means the land will be no more made ready and cultivated, nor the city rebuilt. When Edom is often once fallen, it shall never be raised up again, but always remain desolate. And you can see that in Revelation 18:2. Are you there?
Mm-hmm.
You're right there. Okay.
Where's the number 2? Oh. With a mighty voice he shouted, Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great. She has become a dwelling for demons and a haunt for every impure spirit, a haunt for every unclean bird, a haunt for every unclean and detestable animal.
The only things that can live there. It's okay. Then the last part of that says, none shall pass through it forever and ever. That means no inhabitant in it, nor traveler through it. It will be so horrible and terrible, as none will care to dwell there, even not so much as to travel through it. And then you can find that in Jeremiah.
And that section is under Edom,
Yeah.
as in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, and the neighbor cities thereof, saith the Lord. No man shall abide there, neither shall a son of man dwell in it.
Wow.
Did you hear what she said?
Yeah.
She said Saddam,
Saddam.
Saddam.
as
So-
in Hussein, instead of Sodom.
Sodom, Sodom.
Both evils, right?
Yeah,
Alright.
they are.
All right, let's go
To 11.
page 6, right? Yeah, page 11. And it says, but the cormorant and the bitten shall possess it, the owl also and the raven shall dwell in it, and he shall stretch out upon it the line of confusion and the stones of emptiness. Now, the cormorant is a bird, right?
It's a desert owl.
Yeah, okay, and the bitten shall possess it. The word for cormorant is rendered like a pelican or desert owl. Depends on which theologian or biblical scholar is interpreting it. One lived on the coast and the other one lived inward. So, anyway, in Psalms 102:6, they were both unclean fowls according to the law, of which we see in Leviticus 11:17.
11:17.
Yeah. Yeah, Leviticus.
And the little owl and the cormorant
Mm-hmm.
and the great owl.
You're not supposed to eat them. They eat mice.
They're called fowl for
Foul
a
reason, yeah.
Well, so is chicken.
Back in this time.
The desert owl, the screech owl, the great owl, the
Right.
raven.
The raven, right. They're all scavengers, is what
The
they're saying.
swan, the pelican,
Yeah,
dire eagle,
Right,
stork.
yeah, they're all scavengers.
Seagull.
A seagull, yeah. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That to me is the worst.
Okay. Anyway, the bittern is like a porcupine or badger of that family.
Of that family, okay, so of the
Burrowing, yeah.
fowl family.
The porcupine or the badger? The bittern is what.
Bittern.
The bittern.
Bitter.
Is it a bittern
bittern.
or a bitten?
Bittern.
B-I-T-T-E-R, bittering.
Bittern.
Oh, okay, because it says bit, bitter, right?
Yeah, there's
Right.
an R. Mine has an R, yours doesn't. No, it
Bitterns are
doesn't, right
birds.
there. It has it up there.
Any
Oh, okay,
number-
so B-I-T-T-E-R.
That's a bird, right?
So the
okay.
cormorants are any number of 26 to 30 species of water birds.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bitterns are supposedly pelicaniforms.
Pelican, like a pelican family.
Yeah.
All right. But there was people in the references that referred to them like a porcupine or a badger.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and we'll see anyway. Anyway, it says the owl also and the raven shall dwell in it, which we already know, right? Which, like above, were likewise unclean creatures. These are all just unclean creatures. These with the former and other creatures after mentioned delight to dwell in the desolate and ruinous place. So being destroyed, it will become a cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
Because they're drawn to death. They're drawn to death because that's what they are. They're scavengers and they don't go and hunt for themselves. They
Right.
eat
Whatever's left over or been just
roadkill.
roadkill,
Right.
all right? Or boatkill, or, left over by the
Or
fishes.
Pitch and tar.
Pitch and tar,
Destroyed,
right? That's
right?
right. All right, and we already did it in Revelation 18:2, so. And he says, he shall stretch out upon it the line of confusion and the stones of emptiness. Now, Isaiah is referring to he, that is God, as Kimchi interprets it. The allusion is to builders that make use of the line and the plummet as to build, so to tear down. It's you always want to review if you're going to tear something down, or if you're going to build it, you need to have a line of reference, right? So, you may know that what is to be torn down or reconstructed, right? And how far they are to go, right? You got to have a blueprint, basically. It's the guy that does the measurements and things, right? 2 Kings 2:21-13, and hereby is signified that is the destruction should be entire, nothing should be left but confusion and emptiness. There's not going to be any foundation left for them to build upon. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
Mine says a plumb line.
Yeah, a plumb line, a plumb. You can't get a straight line, right? Because the ground is going to be so. Well, I can imagine with fire and brimstone and sulfur, and it's not going to be you. And they don't have heavy enough equipment then at the time period to straighten it out or flatten it out or anything, right?
And I will stretch over Jerusalem the line of Samaria and the plummet of the house of Ahab.
Right.
And I will wipe Jerusalem as a man wipeth a dish, wiping it and turning it upside down.
Ooh,
Wow.
gonna clean it and start over, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, even the people that go to build cities and towns in that time period, it would be a waste of time and it would be so much labor, it wouldn't be profitable or economical or even labor worthy, is what he's trying to get across to them. It's going to be so destroyed that even the land is not going to be able to support anything.
It'll never grow anything.
You never
again.
grow anything, you never be able to build on it, it won't be stable. If you have that much confusion, the ground will give way, because if you think about it, if you got burning pitch, like the river waterways underneath burning, it's melting the rock, it's going to cause holes, like the coal mine.
Right.
Okay. Verse 12, they shall call the nobles thereof to the kingdom, but none shall be there, and all her princes shall be nothing. Okay, so they shall call the nobles thereof to the kingdom, but none shall be there. They shall endeavor to heal their breaches in control of power, but it's in vain, right? The remnant of the people shall seek for any fit person or qualified one and offer the kingdom to him. But they shall not find any such who will be willing to undertake the government or task.
So that building that used to be out there for the fireworks, and then before that it was for races.
Yeah, for the horse races, yeah.
They couldn't sell that one.
They couldn't sell it. It was condemned too, right?
Mhm.
And they used it for one movie to blow the windows out for Die Hard,
Yeah.
the movie. And then it was just destroyed. And how long did it take them to clean the ground up after that? I mean,
There's still nothing built on it.
Nope. It will never have anything built on it.
I saw another building like that, Dan. Remember, where it was $1.
Mhm.
They would sell it to anybody
The pigeons.
for $1.
Where was that at?
Remember? It
Yeah,
was,
I was gonna buy it.
but it was the money that you would have had to put into it.
We figured it out was gonna take like $2 or $3 million
$1 million,
to
right.
fix the ground enough to build on it.
Why was that building condemned?
Because of the pigeons.
The pigeons?
Actually, it was the asbestos used in the concrete.
Yeah.
Was the first contamination of the
Right there,
ground.
the off of
That
I
too.
Yeah, remember it used to be
Yeah,
off,
that-
off
yeah.
on the right there, just before the.
It used to be a dog track.
The 101.
Yeah, dog
No,
races,
no.
when I lived
No,
out
no,
here.
no, no, no.
No.
It was always
It was chariot races.
chariot races and horse races there.
And then they used it in a movie.
Yeah.
And they blew it up in a movie.
Yeah.
Right,
And Chelsea took pictures of it.
Yeah, she's still got pictures of it.
Yeah, it was supposed to, it's because so the guy that built it was about 10 years too advanced forward thinking for Arizona. And when he built it, I-10 was supposed to come through there a year later when he started building it. And I-10 didn't come down that far until 10 years later.
right.
So
And he wrote
nobody
it up.
wanted to drive out and watch these cool chariot races, which were
Right.
very popular back in the day. So
Mhm.
Right.
I remember those,
it
yeah.
was all air conditioned and everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It had, places to get food.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had a lot of, it was very
Yeah, I just
well
didn't, I
ahead of
didn't
its
know it was
time.
condemned from asbestos. I just thought no one wanted to deal with it because it'd be too expensive to do.
Too
anything with.
expensive to
Yeah.
fix it up. That's what I had
The
heard.
city actually owned it. I think it was the city of Goodyear, right?
Well, it's a RV park place owns it.
Think,
Yeah, now, yeah,
yeah,
And now that it's not there, they just own more
more land there.
More
RV
land.
park land.
Yeah.
But they can't even move the RVs over there because the land is contaminated.
right.
And that'll take years before it's,
Mm-hmm.
It's like Times
So-
Beach,
so
Missouri.
fixed.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist anymore,
More,
'cause it was, it's a ghost town.
ghost town,
It's
right?
But we
Contaminated.
digress.
We digress, we need to go on, okay. And all her princes shall be nothing. Either they shall be lost dead, because it was God's vengeance, right? And or cut off. Some may not, or shall have no courage or strength left in them to even take it on. They're like, no, I'm done with this,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let's go to 13. It says, and thorns shall come up in her palaces, nettles and brambles in the fortress thereof, and it shall be a habitation of dragons and a court for owls. Right? Have you seen the reference about that? In the some of the old movies, they'll the court jesters will go running around screeching like an owl.
Hmm.
There's a reference there, a biblical reference to that. You'll see that sometimes. They used a lot of references in the old movies about that.
Hmm.
Anyway, so the thorns that shall come up, right, in the palaces, Bozrah, are mentioned also by Amos in 112, and
It's under the section of Edom
Edom, right?
again.
Again, right?
But I will send a fire upon Teman, which shall devour the palaces of Bozrah.
Bozrah, right? Bozrah was a major city, the capital city of Edom, okay? So, alluding to Bozrah, which signifies, wait a minute, are mentioned also by Amos. They are threatened with destruction by fire. Amid their ruins should grow up thorns and briars. That usually happens when you abandon an area, doesn't it?
Right, that's why Sleeping Beauty wasn't rescued for 100 years.
Yeah, right, okay. She was inside the brambles, right?
Briar patch.
Yeah, the briar patch, right? Nettles and brambles in the fortress thereof, of course, alluding to Bozrah,
Bozrah.
which signifies a fortress, is referring to the towers and fortifications of the city and all other fortified cities within its jurisdiction. When he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, did he affect the other cities around it?
No, just Sodom and Gomorrah. Right? I mean, not even, it didn't even affect their land, right? It was just that area.
Yeah, well, that area was affected, but the smoke and the pitch would make it almost impossible to live very close to it.
Okay, so then it did
Do
then.
you remember that Noah, not Noah,
Abraham?
no, Lot, no, not Lot. Yeah, it's Lot and his daughters and his
Yes.
wife.
Mm-hmm.
They went to the next city up from it, and then they left there too because of the heat and the fire. It was so hot, and he said to go up into the mountain.
Is it like Id or Oz or something like that?
Yeah, Oz. Yeah, I think it's Oz. Or is yeah, something like. Anyway, it's the neighboring city couldn't support the number of people that were evacuating anyway, but also the heat from it, the brimstone and the fires. I mean, when you got stone melting, you know, it radiates out.
It's pretty
so
hot.
It's pretty hot, right?
Okay.
All right, so a habitation of dragons and court fowls. The wild creatures named are here defined elsewhere as with jackals or wild dogs and ostriches. Because everybody forgets that a lot of the animals from Africa crossed over when the Nile goes down.
Mm.
When it's not running full, they'll cross over looking for land. And a lot of these animals they are talking about, they've seen come across,
Especially jackals.
especially the jackals because they're hunting food, right?
Mhm.
And ostriches are more of a desert animal anyway, sand and desert, you know. So, okay, here we go. All right, 14. We're going to finish this tonight. All right. It says, the wild beast of the desert shall also meet with the wild beast of the island, and the satyr shall cry to his fellows. The screech owl also shall rest there, and for herself a place of rest. Now, the wild beast of the deserts. There is, in the original here, I can't say that word. What? Paramosia? Paranomisia, okay.
Like paranormal,
Yeah. And
but Asia.
Asia, right? Which cannot be conveyed in a translation. No kidding, right? The word rendered wild beast of the desert is rendered by the Septuagint demons.
Oh, so that's the chupacabra.
It's okay. All right. The abominable snowman, right?
If I can talk about Sweden Beauty, he can talk about chupacabras.
Okay. All right. So, the wild beast of the island is Liam. Probably the term denotes the jackal, right? Historian Genesius supposes it is so called for its howl or nocturnal cry, right? Also noted from an Arabian word signifying to howl, right? So, and
I
this,
could hear that.
yeah, you could hear that calling, right? And the satyr shall cry to his fellows. In Greek art, they are represented as a man with a horse's ears and a tail, but in Roman representations as a man with a goat's ears, tail, legs, and horns, right? Note, at the time of Isaiah, it would be a wild goat.
Is that Pan?
That's Pan, yeah. The Greeks took a whole different turn on it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, it'd be wild goats, right?
Devils.
Yeah. And, you don't really think about wild goats being, because we have so many passive goats around our country and over there, but a wild goat was dangerous. Try to capture one of the rams up on Saddleback and see what you can.
No, thank you.
Yeah, it's
I
not.
had one that the kids were more afraid of the goat than they were of any dog.
Yeah.
Hey, just
Yeah.
butted my sister all over the backyard. And all we could do was laugh.
And you all just agreed with it.
And they're escape artists.
Yes, they are. Oh, yeah.
Sibling privilege.
All right. All right. So you guys got that one. But they're going to shall cry to his fellow. A most striking description of the desolation. When all that is heard among the ruins shall be the doleful cry of wild beasts. If you guys have never been to Africa, anyway, you've heard some of the nature shows and things,
Yeah.
and you hear the night calls of the animals in Africa.
Yeah.
That sinks home when you're out there.
Mm-hmm.
When I was
Sure.
I can imagine.
in Mombasa and Kenya, and then out of Oman, which is northern coast of Africa, at night, it was like, what in the world is making that noise? You know, I'm like, what is that? Because it didn't sound real, you know? I could see where people would say, oh, it's demons, or it's the wild beast, right? And no wonder people stayed in their tents.
Well,
right?
it's dead dark out there too,
Yeah, it
so I
is.
can imagine.
There's no light. Yeah, it was very amazing.
The peacocks my mom had
Oh.
screamed like women that were being killed.
Yeah,
Right.
at night, yeah.
Oh,
We had neighbors that.
they did.
They're
Listen
loud.
to the coyotes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, you hear them calling at night, right?
They do all kinds of weird sounds.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and then this house, the screech owl, sometimes referred as the night monster. The word, I can't say that word. I'm going to say Lael, from Lael, night, properly denotes a night specter, a creature of Jewish superstition. The rabbis describe it in the form of a female elegant dress that is lay in wait for children at night, either to carry them off or to murder them. So they even had their own superstitions.
Yeah, this one calls her the Lilith.
Lilith?
Indeed, Lilith, night demon, will settle there
Yeah.
and find her a place to rest.
Wow.
I didn't know Lilith meant that.
Don't name your kid that.
Right.
You might just say night creatures.
Yeah.
Makes a difference for that. What was that Frasier show?
Yeah. Oh, that makes a whole difference. That does, doesn't it? I'm gonna have to remember that one. That's a good one.
Hmm?
That changes everything. Anyway, all right.
I wonder if they knew. I'm sure they did.
Yeah, because she was pretty
People that write
Yes.
books and scripts are pretty well educated.
educated people. Yeah. So 15.
Usually.
There shall the great owl make her nest, and lay and hatch and gather under her shadow. Where there shall the vultures also be gathered, every one with her mate. Okay. Now, when it goes, the great owl make her nest, Abnazara takes this to be birds or a great bird, right? It's hard to say what is designated by it. Historian Bockhart thinks that one kind of serpent is here meant, the arrow snake, so called from its leaping up or striking like a cobra or a rattlesnake, which can said to make nests, lay eggs, and hatch them. That's pretty crazy, isn't it?
Snake.
Yeah.
But they said snake making the
They
nest.
make
Yeah.
a nest in a tree, then,
Yeah, they'll nest in a tree.
Yeah.
then the eggs and everything are already there right there.
Mm-hmm.
With other birds.
Yep.
For birds.
So, the key phrase there, and lay and hatch and gather under her shadow. This description is favored more to a bird because it lays its eggs and it sits upon them and hatches them. That is, the eggs by sitting on them. When the young ones spring out of them, after being hatched and running about, gather them under the wing, especially when in any danger.
Mm.
You ever tried to take a baby away from a banny hen?
Oh,
She'll-
just try to take an egg from it.
Yeah.
Right.
They'll peck you. They'll fight
will
you.
peck you.
They'll chase you.
They'll chase you. Yeah. Okay.
Screaming.
Not doves. Doves
No.
are dumb.
No, they anyway,
They could care less.
they could care less. Yeah.
Took two down off a whole siren array and
I don't want to watch the
nobody
Thank you.
even saw the parents.
I've seen it
Yep.
many, many times.
We put them back.
You can imagine
Didn't
trying to
disturb
do
them.
that to a wild bird. I mean, even the little starlings will attack you,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Bad.
Bad, right? Remember?
Yeah,
Have to wear
I can
helmets.
recommend a movie about that.
It was a good
I
movie.
think it's called Starling.
It's called Starlings, yeah. Anyway, there shall the vultures also be gathered, everyone with their mate, which these creatures usually gather together where dead carcasses lie and they consume them, right?
Right, because they're lazy,
There's
they don't want to hunt
there's
their own food.
so much waste, destruction, that they're going to bring their mates and have their offspring there, because there's going to be that plentiful.
Food for generations.
Right.
Yep. Right, okay. 16 says, seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail, none shall want her mate, for the mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit hath gathered them. All right, so let's seek out the book of the Lord and read. Here the prophet confirms the preceding prediction. To convict hypocrites and confirm the pious assures them of the certain completion of his prophecy. He terms it and his other prophecies the book of the Lord, as being part of the divine revelation. He supposes they should still exist, surviving at the time of the completion of their contents. He's saying this is going to be, you need to know this for future generations.
Hey,
Yeah, today.
Pay attention.
Right? This is from the book of the Lord, not me. It's not my,
I didn't write this. He wrote this.
I put the note.
I'm just telling you.
Yeah, the note there that says, therefore invites all men to seek into and consider them in their parts in order that, comparing the events with the predictions, they might be fully satisfied of the truth of them, and thereby might find their faith in them and all the other parts of God's book be confirmed.
Nothing new under the sun.
Nothing new under
Yeah.
the sun, right? You people aren't reading.
There's a lot of correlation.
Correlation going on right now, right?
Yep.
I think this one is not one of them shall fail. No, not as so much as the minutest circumstance, even respecting the impure beast now mentioned. They're all going to be there. He commands it, right? You can't unless he reverses it. It happens. Period.
Mhm.
Right. None shall want her mate, as I have said that the vultures should all have their mates. So it shall be. For my mouth, the mouth of the Lord, hath commanded it, and the direful muster of beasts and fowls, these marks and evidences of desolation. The sound of it when it says none shall want her mate it's a mistranslation, basically. No one's going to go in and try to scare them off and split the mates up and
Not one will lack her mate. is what
yes,
God says.
lack, right. It's all going to be exactly like he ordered it, right? They're going to bring their offspring and they're going to live there. And can you imagine trying just to go and establish a place with all these beasts?
Well, it's basically saying that nobody's going to
It's off-
bother
it's off-
anything there at all.
It's off limits.
Yeah, that there will be no inhabitants of any kind
Mm-hmm.
that would cause danger or distress to any of these animals.
Right. And his spirit hath gathered them. That is, his power shall gather all his creatures together, as he formerly brought the creatures to Adam and to Noah by an instinct which he put into them.
Right,
He has control of all the beasts.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. All right.
I'm not
17.
going to ever forget that either.
Right? He controls them, right? 17 says, and this is the last verse of this one, and he hath cast the lot for them, and his hand hath divided it unto them by line.
Mm-hmm.
They shall possess it forever, from generation to generation. They shall they dwell therein. Now he hath cast a lot for them. He hath allotted or assigned it. Isaiah is referring to the lots that Jacob drew for the 10 tribes for their lands. Right? They would draw lots, and that's where you would go. Right? He's referring to that God assigned this lot to them.
They
Period.
talk about that a lot in the Bible.
Lot or lot?
They talk about drawing lots
Lots.
Okay.
a lot in the Bible.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that didn't come out right, but that's the truth.
Assigning specific areas.
Areas, right? Okay.
Or dividing up.
Yeah.
Drawing lots.
He had allotted or assigned it by formal deed or transfer to the savage beasts, who are by its future possessors. The thought is the same as the Acts 17:26, and that's what does it say there?
From one man he made all the nations that they should inhabit the whole earth, and he marked out their appointed times in history and the boundaries of their lands.
It's amazing.
Lot.
He already knew. He already knew we were going to be called America. Right?
That's why a piece of land is called a lot.
Lot, right. Okay. All right, and then where am I at? Oh, he hath divided it into them by line. He has marked out, as a surveyor does, the land of Edom as a dwelling place of the beasts of the forest. The land was usually surveyed and divided into proper parts or portions before the lot was cast, and that's in Joshua. Which I just, you got it? Okay.
Joshua
18, 4, 6.
4, give out from among you 3 men for each tribe, and I will send them, and they shall rise and go through the land and describe it according to the inheritance of them, and they shall come again to me. 5, and they shall divide it into 7 parts. Judah shall abide in their coast on the south, and the house of Joseph shall abide in their coasts on the north. 6, ye shall therefore describe the land into 7 parts, and bring the description hither to me, that I may cast lots for you here before the Lord our God.
So that was the original map makers.
Yep,
Surveyors, land
surveyors.
surveyors.
He sent out 3 people from each tribe to survey the land.
Wonder how much it cost them.
I don't know. Anyway, the last 2 parts of this say, they shall possess it forever. It's as their inheritance allotted and appointed to them. God did it.
Right.
And then from generation to generation that shall they dwell therein. God, who allots to all the nations of the earth, which he did,
Mhm.
there are several countries, has now allotted Edema or Edom to the unclean beasts and birds and reptiles which have been mentioned. Henceforth it is formally assigned as habitation from one generation of creatures to the next.
Mhm.
How much of the original land of
It's
Edom?
kind of like a curse, isn't it?
Ah, did you get it?
Yeah.
It will never be established
This
as
is
a power
yours
again.
forever, the way it is.
Most of, I don't know if you guys really understand how large Russia is.
It's huge.
It's twice the
It's
size.
a quarter of the world.
It's a quarter of the world. It's
Wow.
that large.
That's big.
Only
Yeah.
1/10 of it is inhabitable.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. People, oh, Russia's so big a
Like
country,
Alaska,
but
though.
yeah, it only lists much.
Alaska is only about
Right.
a third of it.
Most of it's.
That's why they want Alaska
But
back.
how much of Alaska is inhabitable?
About a tenth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, depends on what time of
Year, right.
Because Siberia pretty much
No.
doesn't.
They ever thaw out. Yeah. You
But
can-
about
you can-
half of Alaska will thaw out.
Yeah, about half. Yeah, it's about 50%. They can be habitable for short periods of time.
Right, which
Right.
that's when they try to get all their gold mining in,
Right.
like 3 months of the summer.
Right.
Maybe 4 months.
Right. So
But,
it's
you know,
it's
that's why
basically.
Russia wants it, because it's more
Yeah.
land, it's habitable land.
It's
Are we,
habitable land.
are we gonna do 35 next?
Yes.
Are we?
Yes.
Because that's Crocus's founding,
The glory of the Lord.
yes. Joy of
Or-
the redeemed.
Also,
I have
it's
it-
called Zion's joyful future.
Like the crocus, it
I
will
will be
burst
back.
into bloom.
Next Tuesday to do it. I already have it. You know what? I may actually extend it a little bit because chapter 35 is only 10 verses.
Oh,
It's 4.5 pages.
That's all we
Mhm.
needed.
That's all we need?
That's
Okay.
all we needed.
All right.
Yeah.
10 verses.
Yeah, it says, like the autumn crocus,
Yeah.
it will blossom abundantly and to rejoice with joy and singing.
Mhm.
Joy of the redeemed.
Okay.
So that would make me believe that the crocus flower blooms twice a year.
Yep.
Through the snow
Yep.
and in the spring.
And that's the
Or-
spring and the fall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the autumn and,
Autumn.
autumn's just the fall, right?
Fall, right.
Because the leaves turn
Right.
orange is
Right.
autumn.
Autumn.
And that would be if we got an early snow, the crocus flower will still go through. that.
Yep, we'll go through it.
Flowers.
Isn't that pretty cool?
Flowers.
If we could only get an early snow here.
Right?
Snow?
You know,
Deer?
people, we can't even get rain, okay?
But we got
I don't
some
know,
rain.
Jillian.
We got a little bit.
This morning, everything was flooded and she couldn't get out.
That's because you're not on the island.
Yeah, her boss
It
called her and
rains all
said,
the way around us.
well, usually it rains all around us too, but her boss called her because it showed up on the news that I-10 was closed.
Mm-hmm.
And said, I hope you found an alternate route to work this morning. She goes, I'll get there eventually. But yeah, the washes,
Mm-hmm.
baseline was flooded.
Yeah, there's 2 ways.
Yeah.
There's actually 3 you can go up. But
One
that's
time-
probably flooded.
One
too.
time I left at 6:20 to go downtown Phoenix, and I got there at 10:30 because of all of the detours I had to take around the rain. And then
Flooded.
when I got there, the only people that were there were people who lived like within a few blocks of the
Mhm.
place. And
It's
then
like-
they let everybody go stay home. It was like,
Well, I
I
really
just
know.
drove 4 hours.
Right.
Good
if I
job.
can make it
Right?
from Tonopah, they can make it from down the block.
Right.
Exactly.
Seriously.
All right,
Yeah.
pray out.
Yeah.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this Bible study, Lord. We ask that you be with us as we travel home this evening, and Lord, we continue to say thank you for the blessings of the light rains. We will ask you to continue those and the cloud cover, especially